You're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, no, 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 other than day one.
Donald Trump has successfully moved the Overton window in a way that is as dangerous for the future of democracy in this country as anything else.
This is what Vout and Project 2025 wanted.
He's daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. Should he do it? I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great.
They control the Congress, they control the White House, and they control the courts. And so, of course, they're massively overreaching. And yes, they are getting away with it right now.
This is clearly a man who cannot tolerate criticism of him or what he does, which is exactly what authoritarianism is all about.
The New York Times is just as fake as CNN and MSDNC. They really are the enemy of the people.
What he is saying, rather bluntly, if you stand up to Donald Trump, he will punish you.
Protesters in Philadelphia, state capitals in California, Minnesota, Michigan, Texas, Wisconsin, Indiana, and others showed up to oppose Trump, Musk, and Project 2025.
The US and President Trump has overseen America's largest military parade in decades as nationwide protests take place against his leadership.
Demonstrations are happening right across the United States today to oppose the Trump administration.
Two visions of America. On a day the country's deepening divide was there for all the world to see.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. I am your host, Jeff Waldorf, and you are watching Logically Left right here. I apparently have had a tech error here. Not muted. I'm not sure why my stuff wasn't working, but we'll have to look at that later. But anyway, welcome to the show. I do have a lot of stories for you today, including Donald Trump is unwell mentally. This is according to, it could have been Mike Johnson. He was recently cornered by a Democratic representative, and it's what he didn't say that was important here. And so, look, I've got the details on that. It's an amazing story here. We have Google blocking the search results, the AI search results on whether or not Trump is having some mental issues. Okay. We have the shutdown here. We got the blame game going on, and the Pope Leo the 14th, went off on how not pro-life the Republicans are. So these are pretty amazing stories here. You're going to love it. There's a lot of video along with it. But yes, a bit of a rough start to the show. But don't worry. It will go on. Okay?
We'll do it live!
That's it. We're doing live. We're doing it live. All right. So, with that said, if you haven't already, please like and share the stream. And let's get to it. We'll start out with MAGA Mike. MAGA Mike Johnson has basically admitted to what we all already know is true. That President Donald Trump is not right in the head.
The president is unhinged. He is unwell. What are you doing?
A lot of folks on your side are too. I don't control.
Oh my God, please. That performance in front of the generals, that
I didn't see it.
is so dangerous. You know I serve on Foreign Affairs and Appropriations.
Yes.
This is a collision of those two things. Our allies are looking elsewhere. Our enemies are laughing.
I just left
You
the
have a
speaker's
president
side.
who is, you have a president who is unwell.
That was Representative Madeline Dean saying what we've all been thinking. Trump, not right in the head. Okay, I call him personally the Mad King. And it's not for no reason, obviously. Yes, he's the Mad King. And look, I love this exchange because it's not just about what Johnson said. Obviously, he didn't come out there and admit that, oh, yeah, the guy's crazy. He's like, ooh. No, it's what he didn't say. I mean, what he did say was, a lot of folks on your side are too. After she had said, the president is unhinged, he is unwell. Well, you guys are too. Well, wait, what? What do you mean too? What do you mean too? I mean, hold on. Now, I can think of one person on the Democratic side that does have some issues. That's John Fetterman. The man literally has brain damage as a result of a stroke, okay? And funny enough, he is now more well-liked by Republicans than his own voters. Oops. Other than Fetterman, right? Who else is in a position of power on the Democratic side that is showing evidence of mental decline? And I say that because, I mean, look, Joe Biden. Is he in a position of power? No, he's not president anymore. In fact, he stopped his re-election campaign, okay, because people were like, hey, is Joe Biden okay? Is he all right upstairs? So, yeah. Look, Donald Trump, he is in mental decline. Everyone knows it. It is incredibly obvious. The rambling speech that he gave to the generals was filled with lies and paranoid delusions, okay? No, it's an invasion from within. An invasion. Paranoid. But, to be fair, Mike Johnson, he didn't see it. He didn't watch it, which is surprising. I mean, wait, you're telling me the Speaker of the House was not watching a televised gathering of the nation's highest-ranking defenders? Really? That seems a little weird. What were you doing then, Mike? What were you doing? What were you paying attention to then? The people need to know. People want to know. I don't know. Seems like either that's a little weird, okay, because maybe he was doing something else, maybe crashing Grindr. I don't know. Or maybe that's just the best excuse that he could come up with in the moment. I didn't see it because, he was being cornered by, this dangerous radical leftist, right? I'm sure that they'll be saying that next. Or maybe next he'll be saying, just joking. And when that inevitably does not work, he'll then go on to say that, we were all saying that. And by the way, we're going to defend all this stuff. We're going to defend it. He's fine. TDS. That's all that's going on here. TDS. Basically, he will do just like all the other members of the Republican Party, almost all of them, and try to protect the Mad King. Look, Trump could be running outside the White House naked, okay? And Johnson would be like, Trump, he's got a great suit on today. Yeah, great looking suit on. Trump, you're looking tremendous, Mr. Trump. Sir, come on. He knows, they all know, but they are far, far too cucked by Donald Trump to do anything about it. They really are. It is so incredibly sad how all of these so-called tough guy Republicans refuse to say anything, okay? Refuse to challenge the Mad King. Beta male. It's sad and pathetic. Okay, but I love how Dean had cornered him like that. Now, you can bet, though, he'll be taking steps to prevent that whole thing from happening again. Guy will be ducking in and out of elevators and around doors, okay, before too long. Because the questions are not going to stop. He keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Now, that said, speaking to CNN's Manu Raju after a confrontation with Johnson about that, and by the way, the whole discussion started out with her challenging him on the weird and racist AI slop video that he had posted, showing Hakeem Jeffries, in a sombrero with like a handlebar mustache. Again, it was super weird. And the whole dubbing, AI dubbing with Chuck Schumer being like, oh yeah, we're woke pieces of crap. Here's what Dean said. Quote, he asked me, like rhetorically, is that really racist? Is it? I mean, yeah, it is. It is. And she told him that. And she said, look, it's despicable. You should have called it out. But he didn't. Of course he won't. And then she asked him, did you see what the president did in that performance before the generals? And he said he hadn't seen it, of course. In another video of the exchange, Dean is heard saying, is it racist? You put a sombrero on a black man who's the leader of the House? You don't see that as racist. Well, I mean, whether they see it or not, they don't really care. And that's the overall problem, right? They don't care about it. Yes, they're going to do everything they can to appeal to the racist base. Right now, at this moment, they are trying to pin the government shutdown on illegal immigrants. Seriously. Oh, yeah. Is there anything that they won't blame the immigrants on the immigrants or the radical left? They'll never take any responsibility for anything that they've ever done. Okay? Never. And they're claiming specifically that Democrats were shutting down the government because, I want them illegals to get health care. That's not true. None of it's true. You know what the Democrats want? They want the restoration of Medicaid funding that was stripped out, the nearly $1 trillion in Medicaid cuts that was stripped out of the big, by the big, beautiful bill, right? They want the extension of the tax credits for the ACA. And they also want to prevent more power being centralized in the executive branch. Because Republicans in this bill wanted to give Russell Vought more power over agencies in order to allow them to strip the funding from these agencies if they don't play ball. Okay? Look, no federal money goes to undocumented immigrants. All right? The fact is that without the tax credits, insurance, people's insurance costs are going to go way up. Millions of Americans, they're going to lose out at a time where already there's been so much economic pain from the Trump administration and their tariffs, okay, and inflation that continues to go up and up and up, okay? And look, Democrats are out there, yes, trying to save Trump family's money, Trump voters' money, okay, as well as everyone else. Because again, there are people on Medicaid that are Trump supporters. They're trying to get that money back into Medicaid and trying to save families that have insurance through the ACA exchanges, which also includes Trump voters, okay? Trying to save them from having their insurance go up by, in some cases, 75%. I mean, come on. Democrats are trying to save them money, but Republicans, you know what they're doing? They're pushing a giveaway, $20 billion bailout for Argentina. Argentina. You know, because Trump's buddy Javier Milei has completely obliterated their economy with their changes. That, by the way, what happened in Argentina is what Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Doge are trying to do here. They look at Argentina as a model of what we should be doing here. So think about that for a minute. Ain't nobody going to bail us out when that inevitably happens. And again, another thing that Republicans want to do is fund ICE more. Okay? And this is after giving massive tax cuts to the rich. Look, these people, Republicans do not give a damn about you. They will fall on their own swords to defend the Mad King and his priorities, because guess what? His priorities are their priorities. All right. When will Republicans get off their knees to Trump and start working for the people who elected them? That's a good question. Unfortunately, never. Never. The Republican Party is wholly owned by Donald Trump. They are a cult of personality. That's what they are. And I don't know how to deal with that. I don't know if it's even possible to break people out of that cult. But it's very clear now what the Republican Party has become. And that is why we must defeat them at the ballot box. All right. It appears that Google's AI is blocking search results involving President Donald Trump's mental acuity, or maybe lack thereof, while providing an AI summary of the same question when it comes to former President Joe Biden. Interesting. So let me show you here. This is what happened when I searched, "Is Trump in cognitive decline?" I mean, look, you get a bunch of articles here showing that Google is blocking the AI search results. That's what you get, okay? Now, when the Independent had, done the same search, okay, with the same terms, they got this. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the Joe Biden one. Okay. It basically said Google's AI overview is not available for this search. It's not available. But when they search for Biden, you get this. Okay. Oh, look at that. AI overview. Is Biden in cognitive decline? Oops. So I can confirm that, apparently Google's AI doesn't really want to show you any, results. And here's the thing about that, okay? So a lot of people have been turning to those AI summaries. So that's really important, the fact that Google AI is not showing a summary of all the questions people have about Donald Trump's mental status. Now, The Verge, of course, was the first to report on this apparent discrepancy. The outlet searched the query, does Trump show signs of dementia? To which, again, Google's AI responds, an AI overview is not available for this search. Oh, weird. When the Independent input the same search, that message no longer appeared, and you get what I got when I searched it. Okay. In Google's AI mode tab, the query generated a list of 10 results of news reports in the subject. But in, again, the same mode for Biden, an AI summary response was generated. When contacted for comment, a Google spokesperson told the Independent that its AI overviews in AI mode will not show a response to every query. Our systems automatically determine where an AI response will be useful. And it's not always 100% consistent. Well, no kidding. We don't show AI overviews on every query. And similarly, in AI mode, for some topics like current events, we may show a list of links as the response. Okay, great. Now, here's the thing about that. Big Tech, I think this could be another example of how Big Tech has lined up to support Donald Trump. I mean, it's not a coincidence to me that Alphabet CEO or Google CEO Sundar Pichai, was at the White House to have dinner with the president just last month, where he had thanked Trump for his leadership and had praised his administration for their AI action plan that they had launched in July. Here's what he said. Quote, the AI moment is one of the most transformative moments any of us have ever seen or will see in our lifetimes. So making sure the U.S. is at the forefront, and I think your administration is investing a lot. Already the AI action plan under your leadership, I think, is a great start. And we look forward to working together, and thank you for your leadership. Yo, yes.
Beta bear. Beta.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Thank you for allowing our slop to continue sucking up all the energy in the water across the country. Thank you for allowing us to let that proliferate and make us billions of dollars while putting people out of work. Thank you. That's what that means. The administration's plan for AI is to allow billions of dollars in government investments that would ensure that tech companies are able to fire as many people as possible while making sure the AI is not woke. I mean, oh, thank God. Thank God it's not woke, everybody. I mean, this is the result, okay? And by the way, AI is not going to make anything cheaper. In fact, the widespread use of these AI systems, okay, actually is increasing energy prices across the country. According to an investigation into power costs by Bloomberg, the price of wholesale electricity has increased by as much as 267% over the last 5 years in data center hotspots. Even if you're not near one of those data centers, you're still getting affected. The report found that the costs are being passed on to home consumers. That's right. here we are paying for something that we never really wanted, that is also taking water and killing jobs. Great. Oh, and by the way, it's also prone to hallucinations and giving out fake news. Okay? Which is pretty much the same thing. Isn't that grand? Isn't that grand? But thank God it is not woke. Oh, thank goodness. Now look, Sundar's dinner also comes as YouTube, which is again owned by Google, had agreed to pay $24.5 million to settle a lawsuit from Trump over his suspension from the platform after the January 6th Capitol riots, which they are now attempting to rewrite the history on. I think it's pretty clear that big tech has completely bent the knee to Donald Trump. And despite his obvious decline, their AI models are not allowed to talk about it now. And so, you know, that's, I mean, there it is, right there. Hiding the ball from the American people, okay, just in order to get more corporate goodies. This is the reality. All right. I am sorry about the sound right now. My normal mic is not working for some reason. All right. The government is dealing with the first shutdown in about 7 years, after Republicans refused to negotiate in good faith over things like healthcare funding and or healthcare tax credits and Medicaid funding. Now, if you listen to Donald Trump or Fox News or any of those weirdos, you will come away with the idea that the shutdown is actually not the fault of the party in charge. No, it's actually the fault of the Democrats and the undocumented immigrants. Right. Look, that's obvious bullshit. I'm going to give you the facts about what's going on. Republicans control both the White House and Congress. In fact, they've got full control of the government. Okay. That said, they do need some Democratic votes in the Senate to approve any new spending measures. So Democrats want Republicans to extend some temporary Biden-era programs, right, that helped lower health insurance costs for more than the more than 20 million Americans that buy insurance through the ACA. They also want Republicans to undo some of the more dramatic cuts to Medicaid that the Republicans had enacted over the summer as part of Donald Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. They also want to block the White House budget director, Russell Vought, from being able to unilaterally target congressionally approved funding. That would be a huge transfer of power from Congress to the executive branch. Okay? Now, Trump and Republican leaders, of course, they flat out refused to negotiate, refused to engage, even knowing for months that they were heading towards this shutdown. Okay? That they had a limit. Okay? They had a timetable where it's like, well, we're going to run out of funding on October 1st. We might, and we need to pass a budget. Yes, you do. That's literally part of your job. So now, we should probably negotiate, right? Because we need Democratic votes. No, let's not. Let's not. Maybe they believe that the Democrats would fold because, let's be honest, that's what Schumer normally does. Okay. But not this time, apparently. But, well, at least for now. Okay, at least for now. So, that said, this surprising show of backbone by the Democrats has led to Republicans falling back on, well, their, excuse of choice.
But if you look at the original thing they did with this negotiation, it was a $1.5 trillion spending package, basically saying to the American people, we want to give massive amounts of money, hundreds of billions of dollars to illegal aliens for their health care, while Americans are struggling to pay their health care bills. That was their initial foray into this negotiation.
The proposal does not provide health care for illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants cannot buy health care under the Affordable Care Act. They cannot receive health care subsidies. No. Illegal immigrants are ineligible for Medicare, Medicaid, and the Children's Health Program. The Democratic bill does not make them eligible.
It does, actually.
But I haven't heard anybody in my party saying that illegal immigrants should get access to the health insurance marketplace.
I'm so glad you said that. Actually, I have some tape of your Democratic Party members saying this on the debate stage. So they've all said it. Let's play the clip.
A lot of you have been talking tonight about these government health care plans that you've proposed in one form or another. This is a show of hands question, and hold them up for a moment so people can see. Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
Okay. Senator, that's literally every member of your party, from moderate to more progressive, that have said that in the past. I've been seeing them all on the table.
I beg to disagree with you. I have not said that in the past. In New Hampshire, we do not provide health insurance for illegal immigrants. We have never done that. And you're just wrong.
Bro literally had to go back to 2019, okay? And the hypothetical Medicare for all bill that most people on that stage didn't actually support. They had to go back to that to try to make their point of like, you see, they want, all the Democrats want undocumented illegals to get health care. Oh my God. Weak sauce. Here's the thing. Undocumented immigrants, if they end up in the emergency room, it is required that they get treated like everyone else. That's right. You know why? Look, it's a major problem, okay, where the only health care that poor people as well as undocumented people can receive is in the ER. Like, that's a problem. Wouldn't it make sense to have everyone be able to get health care? I mean, it makes sense to me. But here's the fact. The Democrats are not shutting down the government to give undocumented people health insurance. Okay? I mean, seriously. What it was is to save money for those who are on ACA plans, to help people that are on Medicaid, to restore that funding, which, by the way, includes Trump voters, okay? Democrats are literally trying to help Trump's own voters while Republicans are not. And so, I mean, that's why Republicans have to make up these lies about, illegals. They keep going back to that racist well because it works. It's effective. In fact, I'm going to show you here Carolyn Levitt being asked if hospitals should be required now to check the immigration status of patients.
Should ERs check for immigration status before treating a dying patient?
That's probably not a question for me to answer. I think that's a question for healthcare professionals and legal experts to answer.
I understand why I'm asking you, because Republicans have been saying that Democrats want to give benefits to undocumented immigrants, even though it's against the law for them to get these benefits.
Let me ask you, do you think that illegal aliens should receive Medicaid benefits? Medicaid benefits that go to the most vulnerable people in our country. That Medicaid benefits that were designed to help low-income families and Americans in our country.
That's not a no. Okay, to that question, which should have been a pretty easy question to answer. Okay, but this woman claims to be a big old Christian wearing a big old cross everywhere, is refusing to answer a question asking that if there was a person literally bleeding out in the parking lot that happens to be an undocumented immigrant, if they should be treated medically without question. Should be able to answer that question. You know why? Because even Ronald frickin' Reagan, who is the architect of so many of the problems that we are facing here today in this country, even that guy wasn't this heartless. He did, after all, sign the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act in 1986. It's a federal law that requires Medicare participating hospitals to provide medical screening, examinations, and stabilizing treatment to anyone with an emergency medical condition. Anyone. It states that hospitals cannot refuse or to examine or treat individuals based on their ability to pay or other factors like immigration status. And there it is. And again, speaking of Medicaid, right? She talked about Medicaid. Republicans were the one that cut $1 trillion out of Medicaid, none of which went to undocumented people. But it did go to poor Americans. It did go to poor Americans. So, yes, she is lying. She is lying. They're all lying and are desperate to put the blame for this shutdown on someone else. They have even gone so far as to email federal employees. This is back before the shutdown happened. The day before, there was emails from federal agencies to their employees saying, oh, it's Democrats' fault. If it shuts down, it's Democrats. Here's what one said. President Trump opposes a government shutdown and strongly supports enactment of H.R. 5371. This is the administration had stated in identical emails sent by at least 4 different agencies. Unfortunately, the Democrats are blocking this continuing resolution in the U.S. Senate due to unrelated policy demands. If congressional Democrats maintain their current posture and refuse to pass a clean CR to keep the government funded before midnight on September 30th, 2025, federal approved appropriated funding will lapse, said these emails that were obtained by The Hill. They went on to say that each agency has a plan in place to prevent any lapse in appropriations by congressional Democrats. I mean, it's pretty clear who they're trying to blame here. All right. And so as a result of these, Public Citizen is a watchdog advocacy group, is suing Kelly Loeffler, administrator of the Small Business Administration, and Scott Turner, head of the Department of Housing and Urban Development, after they had put up literal banners on their websites blaming Democrats for the shutdown. That could, of course, be a violation of the Hatch Act, although I guess that really doesn't matter at this point because none of our laws are going to be enforced anyway if a member of this administration violates them. But still, Public Citizen called the move a highly partisan post targeting both employees and the public, asserting that congressional Democrats are solely responsible for the shutdown and causing financial harm to small businesses and the American public. Employees at the SBA and HUD were directed to set their out-of-office messages to a script blaming Democrats. In fact, the HUD message said this: the radical left in Congress shut down the government. HUD will use available resources to help Americans in need. Yeah. This is what the Republicans are doing because they cannot defend their position. They cannot defend the fact that they pushed massive tax cuts for the rich, cut $1 trillion out of Medicaid, and are going to allow for millions of Americans insurance to go sky high. They cannot defend those positions, and so they lie. I only hope that the Democrats are able to keep making their case and do not fold to the GOP's bullshit lie campaign. Okay. Moving on. So the last story that I've got for you all On Tuesday, Pope Leo XIV took a few shots at President Donald Trump's immigration policies, as well as his supporters, by suggesting that they don't really seem all that pro-life.
Someone who says I'm against abortion but says I'm in favor of the death penalty is not really pro-life. So someone who says that I'm against abortion but I'm in agreement with the inhuman treatment of immigrants who are in the United States, I don't know if that's pro-life. So they're very complex issues. I don't know if anyone has all the truth on them, but I would ask first and foremost that there be greater respect for one another and that we search together both as human beings, in that case as American citizens or citizens of the state of Illinois, as well as Catholics, to say we need to really look closely at all of these ethical issues and to find the way forward as church. The church teaching on each one of those issues is very clear.
It is pretty clear. If you read the Bible, which a lot of MAGA people don't, okay. Yes, finally, thank you. Being pro-death penalty, by definition, is not exactly pro-life. He gets it. His followers, of course, don't. Here's Carolyn Levitt.
I would reject there is inhumane treatment of illegal immigrants in the United States under this administration. There was, however, significant inhumane treatment of illegal immigrants in the previous administration as they were being trafficked and raped and beaten, and in many cases killed, over our United States southern border. You also look at the inhumane treatment at the hands of some of these illegal immigrants that took place under the previous administration as well. Laken Riley comes to mind, a beautiful American citizen who was killed at the hands of an illegal immigrant. So this administration is trying to enforce our nation's laws in the most humane way possible, and we're upholding the law, and we're doing that on behalf of the people of our country who live here.
Wait, okay. No, we don't treat immigrants poorly at all. Unlike Joe Biden. Joe Biden, wow, you treated immigrants really, really badly. Look at all that. Plus, immigrant crime. Wow. Here's the thing. Under the Trump administration, immigration detention facilities have faced numerous documented reports of abuse. These issues include unsanitary conditions, lack of medical care, and barriers to legal help. Hell, around 1,200 immigrants who are housed at the so-called Alligator Alcatraz are gone. They're just missing. They have disappeared. Nobody knows what the hell happened to them. They're just gone. Okay? Gone. They could be in a prison in Ohio or South Sudan, El Salvador. They could be dead. Nobody knows. We don't know. They don't know. But we also know, by the way, speaking of what we do know, that ICE immigration is racially profiling people. They're arresting them. In fact, in Chicago, ICE agents were literally rappelling from Black Hawk helicopters in the middle of the night to do an apartment raid. And that's after snipers were placed on top of buildings. What? Why do you need that? What is this? Why does it look like there's a military operation happening in the middle of Chicago? I mean, that's what would happen in other countries. It's happening here. This is what's happening in American cities. And guess what? Kristi Noem personally authorized it. Total insanity. Total insanity. But apparently, no, Joe Biden's the one that treated immigrants poorly. We treat them great. And we're not being inhumane at all. No, not at all, not at all. And in fact, they're welcoming us. Yeah, they're welcoming us in the cities. People are. Really? Because one person who was a bystander named Daryl Ballard spoke to the New York Times about what he experienced during the raid. And he said, quote, "It felt like we were under siege." Yeah. American citizens feeling like they're under siege by their own government. We have heavily armed, jackbooted government thugs raining down on our cities arresting American citizens, yes, all to try to get at the guys who are working at Home Depot. I mean, this is insanity. And again, the people that are arrested are sent off to concentration camps across the country, or El Salvador, South Sudan, as I mentioned. Why? For the simple reason that they are not white. That's it. That's the reality here. Okay? And some of those people are absolutely being tortured, and yes, have died in ICE custody. So far this year, 16 people have died in ICE custody. It's 4 more than last year. Okay? Look, in 2023, 4 people died in ICE custody. 2022, 3 people died. In 2021, 5 people died. And in 2020, 21 people died in ICE custody. That's the highest annual number since the year 2005. Weird. It feels like, seems like there's more people that die in ICE custody under Republicans when Donald Trump was in charge than when Joe Biden was in charge. Weird. Weird how that works out. In fact, a June 2024 report by the ACLU and Physicians for Human Rights, they analyzed 52 deaths between 2017 and 2021 and concluded that 95% of them could have been prevented. That report found recurring issues like inadequate medical care, incomplete or inappropriate medical treatment, and you had staff facility that would falsify records. So tell me again, how pro-life you are, Republicans. How pro-life are you? Yeah, but what about the babies, though? What about the babies? What about them? What about them? Infant mortality has risen to the highest level. Where? In Louisiana, a red state. Maternal mortality since the end of Roe has risen significantly all across the country, while children go hungry and can't get medical care thanks to SNAP cuts and cuts to Medicaid and the Children's Health Insurance Program. Once again, pushed by Republicans in a big, beautiful bill. That's what Democrats have shut down the government to try to restore funding to Medicaid. And to prevent millions of people's health insurance from increasing in price. And by the way, don't get me started on Gaza, okay? Where, by the way, both Donald Trump and Joe Biden, both administrations handed weapons over to the IDF. And as a result, Gaza now has the highest rate of maimed children per capita, okay? There are 2 million people that live in Gaza. Half of them are children, and that's who are suffering the most casualties. I'm not going to go around and pretend that Joe Biden had the perfect pro-life administration and that they were fantastic and were angels, okay? They had their own issues too. Family separations, ICE detentions too. But nowhere near the level of what we have today under Donald Trump. So, I mean, they want to claim to be pro-life administration? No, not pro-life at all. Pro-life, my ass. Okay. Same as the Cage Kids last time. Nobody knows where they went. It's true. People forgot and decided to vote for that administration again. Or maybe they didn't forget. Maybe, maybe there are just people out there that want to be evil and make other people suffer. It's sometimes it can be hard to believe that there are so many people out there that can be that malicious, that evil towards other human beings. But it's true, though, that they are. They are. They want that suffering. They just want other people to suffer because they're the enemy. Trump told me that these people were bad. And so they're bad. Make them suffer. Yes. even if it hurts me. Exactly. The cruelty is absolutely the point. All right. So, look, I'm sorry to cut it short today. And for the technical issues that I had as well, I'm going to have to go and figure out what the hell is going on here with my mic. So that'll be fun. Yay. Thank you for watching the show. If you haven't already, please like and share, stream, or share the videos. Very important that you do so. Again, helps us out greatly. Consider becoming a member by hitting the join button below if you're on YouTube, or if you're on Facebook, you can be a subscriber. Or you can, sign up to become a patron, patreon.com/jeffwaldorf. Again, all of it goes to fund the shoestring budget that this show runs on. It runs on a lot of caffeine, very little money, and a lot of hope. Okay? A lot of hope. All right. Thank you all. Love you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow.